Before I wrap up my review of Hercules The Legendary Journeys, I want to address a little technical difficulty that I had when I was getting footage for this review. See, I have a special memory card for my Nintendo 64 that's basically 4 memory cards in one. You turn this little knob here and it switches between the 4 different files. And when I was doing my initial playthrough of Hercules, I made copies of my save data to 2 different portions of this memory card. Basically, I created clones of my save file, saved at 2 specific points in the game so that I could show you the 2 most bullshit boss fights. But, for reasons unknown to me, I don't know if the card is defective, if the files didn't transfer properly, or if the game is just broken, those files would not load. Hercules would not acknowledge that there were save files on this memory card. So, to get the footage to use for this review, I had to play through the entire game, start to finish, a second time. I'm just wearing the pumpkin hat because I needed to pick me up. I'm telling you this because I want you people to appreciate the things that I do to entertain you. A lesser gamer would have cut the review off at part 1 and said, that's all you need to see to convince you this game is horrible, but I'm better than that. And honestly, anybody who willingly plays this game more than once is either a masochist or incredibly stupid. I mean, the demo that plays if you linger around on the title screen, the demo that's supposed to get you psyched to play the game, it shows you Hercules walking to the first village. Hercules walking! And that's accurate because I've been playing this game for hours, and aside from a brief fight with a Cyclops, walking between villages is all I've done for hours! Please, is there any point in this game where I'll actually be able to do something? Well, actually, yes. This is the part of the game where something finally happens. When you get Hercules to Alpsius, Hephaestus finally explains what the plot of the game is. Ares has imprisoned Zeus and blocked off the entrance to Mount Olympus. The key to Olympus is bound inside the heart of a Titan that's been reanimated. The pathway to the Titan is blocked off by 3 locks, the keys of which are bound inside the hearts of 3 Minotaurs, which are roaming around 3 different labyrinths scattered across the land. So halfway through the game, we finally know what's going on and what the overarching goal of the game is. We need to kill 3 Minotaurs and a Titan, then head to Mount Olympus to stop Ares. I still have no idea what Ares is doing that's so evil that he needs to be dethroned as soon as possible, but we finally have a story. I won't question it at this point. But I will say this. Why couldn't the game tell me all of this at the start of the game? What was wrong with telling me that I have to kill 3 Minotaurs and a Titan at the start of the game, then structuring the game with the pointless filler and busy work in between the boss fights? Instead, I spent the first half of the game doing absolutely nothing but run around talking to people, and the second half of the game is nothing except 6 boss fights in a row. I know that Player 1 was an amateur developer and this was probably the first adventure game they made, but this shit should be common sense! You don't structure a story with pointless filler in the first half and all the action crammed together in the second half! Everybody knows that! Everybody except Superman knows that! Hephaestus tells you that you need the Torch of Prometheus to access the first labyrinth. You talk to a guy in Alpsius and give him a letter from his cousin in Trachis, and he supposes that maybe he should give you something to repay you, and he gives you the torch. Asshole! I need the torch to open a labyrinth and save the world, and you're not going to give me the torch, which your boss specifically told you to do, unless I give you a note saying your cousin's dog had puppies? I should bash your head in, you stupid shit! And by the way, if you didn't talk to every single person in the first village and get the letter, guess what? You've got about 15 minutes of hiking to do so you can talk to every damn person in the village, reading all of their pointless text until you find the right person. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the only power-up that you get in the entire game! A coat that lets you walk to and from Alpsius! The game we're ripping off has magic swords, power gloves, a grappling hook, but screw all that noise, we've got a coat! And the coat has no sleeves, so it wouldn't do shit to actually keep him warm. It's colder than New Yorkus out there. Oh my god, that was supposed to be funny. Also, unlike the game that Hercules is desperately trying to rip off, there are no weapons, no recovery or power-up items, no armor to collect. The only things that ever get added to your inventory are keys and items that you need to trade to get keys. I don't even think it's physically possible to fill up more than 8 of your 12 inventory slots. It's like they tried to rip off a game that they never actually played. So you go to the first labyrinth, you kill the Minotaur, and you take its heart to Hephaestus. He gives you a rune that opens the next labyrinth, rinse and repeat. By the way, labyrinth is a term that refers to a mythical maze that has no exit and is impossible to solve. The first labyrinth takes about 3 minutes to complete, and that's while being savaged by undead soldiers. The second labyrinth outright tells you where to go as you run between 4 or 5 chests swapping out keys. The first 2 Minotaurs are also easy, actually easier than the Cyclops because they don't have bullcrap area attacks. Get it? Bullcrap because they're half bulls and the game is crap. Anyway, There are two ways to fight the Minotaurs. Either circle around them, landing one punch at a time until you whittle their health down, or buy a ton of earth potions before going into the labyrinth. I mentioned earlier that you can buy earth, fire, ice, or lightning potions. Earth potions kill everything around you, lightning potions kill everything around you, fire potions kill everything around you, and ice potions freeze and then kill everything around you. Apart from the ice potion being shit, all four potions do the exact same thing, except when you use an earth potion, the game registers you hitting the enemy multiple times in a row, when I think it's only supposed to hit once. The only reasons the first two Minotaurs might be hard are that the camera will sway so that you can't see where the Minotaur is, and because your only combo ends with a giant uppercut that leaves you wide open to attack. The fights are only potentially difficult because of bad design. The first two labyrinths are short and easy. The third one is neither. The third labyrinth has you wandering through a structure that is actually a maze with death traps that drain most of your health. Holy crap! A section of the game that's actually interesting! Actual puzzles and an actual maze! Gameplay that is stimulating! I don't believe it! And then you get to the third Minotaur, and all that credit I gave the game for finally doing something that could be construed as fun gets flushed down the toilet. See, it takes about 7 million hits to kill this thing, while you die in about 6. The Minotaur uses a lot of unchoreographed attacks, and you can lose a quarter of your health with zero warning, and the Minotaur blocks most of your attacks, and he charges at you every time that he does. Even the earth potions, which completely wrecked the shit of the other two Minotaurs, take away like a millimeter of the bastard's health at a time. Even the camera is against you in this fight, because there are about 4 locations the camera is programmed to snap to in this room, so about half the time you won't even be able to see him. If you screw up a few times, you lose, and you have to go through the whole dungeon again just to get another crack at the boss! God! Damn it! Even using the circle-around punch strategy that makes sure you don't get hit, it still takes forever to kill the Minotaur, and you die if you screw up just once or twice. It doesn't matter how many times you practice this fight or how good you are at the game, look how long it takes to drain the Minotaur's health! You not only have to be flawless, you have to be flawless for like 20 straight minutes! That or get a Game Shark with an invincibility code. That works too. I'd also like to point out that this game has 7 bosses, and 3 of them are exactly the same boss, just with incrementally more health. So now all 3 Minotaurs are dead. Shit! So now all 3 Minotaurs are dead, and the only place I haven't gone is the Centaur, so I guess there's no way around it. It's time to figure out how the hell this thing works. Before we switch characters, I guess now's as good a time as any to say that you never play as Iolaus again through the rest of the game. Iolaus has absolutely no reason to be in this game. You only use him twice, and each time you only use him to visit a town that Hercules arbitrarily cannot go to yet. He doesn't fight any bosses, he doesn't have any special puzzles geared around his abilities. Iolaus has no reason to exist. He's only here to make the game seem more complicated than it is. Here's how the Centaur works. You press the Z button to lock onto an enemy, you hold the B button to make the targeting bar appear, you tilt the control stick at just the right angle until the green bar matches the red bar. This controls the vertical angle of your arrow. Then you release the B button to fire an arrow. So you have to tilt the control stick at the right angle before you can fire an arrow. The hell is the point of locking onto an enemy if I still have to aim the damn bow? And the targeting bar is very sensitive. You have to tilt the control stick at exactly the right angle, like within 1 or 2 degrees to line up a good shot. A few degrees over or under and your shot doesn't count. It misses. So it takes several seconds to figure out at what angle you need to tilt the control stick to get a good shot. But you're stuck standing still while you aim, so you take hits from the other enemies while you try to line up a shot. And you want to know what the sick thing is? Even if you lock onto an enemy and aim at exactly the right angle, your arrow still misses! It either flies an inch to the right of the enemy or it phases right through them without hurting them. It's freaking bullshit! The only way to get past these enemies is to use the sniper mode or, and I think you'll agree with this strategy, declare screw it and run away. It's not like there's any reason you need to kill any of these things anyway. There's only like 9 enemies in this section. It makes you wonder why they even bothered to add this segment with the Centaur when it's so damn short. Wait, are those harpies? Holy crap, there are now 3 types of enemies in this game! It's a miracle! Oh shit, now I have to fight the Titan using the Centaur. The premise behind the Titan fight is pretty simple. Shooting the Titan does nothing. You have to shoot 8 targets that circle the top of the room. Not a problem, I'll just use the sniper mode. What the crap, you can't use the sniper mode in this boss fight? Shit. And you can't use the lock-on mode either. There's no targeting bar to tell you how to aim your shot. So the only way to hit these targets is to circle around the Titan and line yourself up with a target, then stop and try to line up a shot by just firing arrows at random angles until one of them finally hits the target. But how the hell am I supposed to stop and line up a shot with an arrow when the Titan launches an attack every 4 seconds? Just like the third Minotaur, the Titan can kill you in just a few hits, so if you screw up a few times, you're dead. You can't move while aiming, so your only hope of getting a good hit on a target is to run like hell until a Titan launches an attack, and then you have about 3 seconds to stop, aim, fire an arrow at a target before you have to start running again, and because you have absolutely no idea what elevation the arrow needs to be fired at to hit the target, on top of having almost no time to aim your shot before the Titan gets you, your chances of actually scoring a hit are about 1,000,000 to screw you, and you have to hit each target 3 times, so this boss fight takes 4 freaking ever, and if you screw up once or twice, you're dead! How the hell am I supposed to do this? God damn it! Bitch! Sometimes if you're standing in one magic pixel of a spot, the targeting bar will appear and tell you how you need to fire an arrow to hit the target, but this thing only pops up like 1 out of every 10 times, if you're lucky, and I'm guessing it's due to a game glitch because I can't imagine how the hell the developers expect you to beat this thing otherwise. And speaking of glitches, you're gonna love this. Even if you line up a shot and miraculously hit the target, half the time, the game doesn't register that you hit the fucking target! That arrow was practically a bullseye, and it didn't do any damage! This game is dog shit! No, this game isn't even dog shit. It's dog shit that the dog then proceeded to eat, and then the dog got diarrhea, and then he shat it out again. I mean, the credits of this game list about 10 QA testers. Did none of them feel like pointing out, hey, you might want to get on this, but the arrows don't freaking work! Even with the Game Shark, this boss fight still took me like 20 minutes to finish, and I never would have beaten this stupid thing without it. This game deserves some kind of medal. I haven't gotten this pissed at a game in a long time. You have to fire 24 arrows, assuming the game actually registers them all, one at a time, running constantly, given no time to aim said arrows, with no idea how you need to aim each arrow without extensive trial and error, all basically without getting hit. The level of precision this game expects you to have is just ludicrous. Although, in the name of fairness, when I was capturing footage for this game I figured out the deal with the targets. The targeting bar will appear if you shoot the targets in one specific order and the targets are in no way indicated which order you're supposed to shoot them. If you don't realize that and you shoot the targets out of order, that's what causes the game to glitch and the targeting bar to only appear when it feels like it. That's bull-honky! There's absolutely no reason why the targeting bar can't just appear whenever you're lined up with a target. The people who made this game had no idea what the hell they were doing! And isn't that just my luck? Playing the game on my own time, I fought the Titan about 6 times, and the targeting bar didn't work once, but I start recording, and the game finally decides to work properly, and now I have to carefully edit my footage, or else I look like a dumbass complaining there's no bar when the bar is right there. Go straight to hell, you broken down piece of crap. And now I'm going back to Santa Manicus to save, because if I fall trying to cross that chasm and I have to go back to before the boss fight, I swear to God, people will die! Once you kill the Titan, you go talk to Hephaestus, and he forges the medallion of Zeus so you can finally go to Mount Olympus. The pathway to Olympus is blocked by 6 shrines that require medallions belonging to 6 gods. You get the other 5 medallions by finding shrines in major villages and paying 100 coins at each. So if you haven't been collecting those over the course of the game, then congratulations! You get to do a ton of pointless time-killer backtracking and fight basic enemies until you save up a grand total of 500 coins, and then revisit every village in the game, and hell with it, I'm just going to leave my Game Shark inserted for the rest of the game because my 5th attempt at fighting the Titan used up the last of my patience. Mount Olympus, despite being the place where gods themselves live, is really small and not very impressive. The archery range at my local park is more majestic than this, and twice the size too. You walk through a few teleport portals which lead in a straight line, lest this game require you to think, and you collect 4 Chaos Emeralds. Eventually you run into the Centaur. No! You stay the hell away from me! How the hell did you get up here anyway? If you go to the top of Olympus with Hercules, he tells you to get the Centaur. If you go to the top with the Centaur, she tells you to go get Hercules. What do you want from me? What you're supposed to do is take the Centaur to the top of Mount Olympus and stand in the pool in the center, or actually stand in one specific spot in the pool in the center, and out of nowhere, you go fight a dragon. I've talked to every single damn person on this planet. You'd think at least one son-bitch could have mentioned, holy cow, there's a dragon up there and you should go kill it. My theory is that the developers of the game got this piece of shit finished early and they just decided to throw in a random boss fight at the last second, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with anything that has happened elsewhere in the game. I mean, we do have a picture of Hercules fighting a dragon as the cover of the game. We should probably throw in a boss fight with a dragon at some point. You can't lock onto the dragon, but you can use the sniper mode, making this the only time in the game that using the Centaur doesn't make you want to hunt down the game's lead designer and stab him in the neck with a fountain pen. I should also mention that if you save your game on Mount Olympus, you have absolutely no way of going back to the main overworld, and Mount Olympus doesn't have a tavern or any beer. So if you save on Mount Olympus, get your ass kicked by the final boss, and then decide you'd like to go back to heal up and get a few potions to help against Ares, too bad! What really sucks is that the game at no point warns you that Olympus is the point of no return, so you don't get a heads up that you should probably take some time to get equipped before you go. It's just one giant trap. If you go up to Olympus without any potions and you save, you're stuck. There's nothing you can do other than start the game over and come to Olympus better prepared next time. Trust me, you're not going to do that. This shit ain't worth it. I admit, I had thrown caution to the wind at this point since I have Game Shark codes for unlimited health and potions, but it's still a dick move that you can't get equipped for the final boss unless you get equipped about an hour ahead of time. And how come there's no tavern or booze on Mount Olympus? It's called Dionysus, the god of wine and merrymaking! So you put your 4 Chaos Emeralds on 4 pedestals, and, of course, you aren't told which one goes on which pedestal, so you just have to try every post until you find which gem goes where. You finally encounter Ares, and he behaves exactly like every other standard enemy in the game. Yep, you've been on a legendary journey to confront the god of war himself, and he's just a standard goon with a larger health bar. Eventually, he spawns 2 clones of himself, a brilliant tactic stolen from the Shredder in the 1989 Ninja Turtles arcade game. When the only idea you have to spice up your final boss fight is to steal from a decades-old NES game, you know you got problems. I mean, this is one of Kamen Rider Wing Knight's basic abilities, and it's apparently the height of the God of War's power. There's not even any dialogue, which you think that a demigod from Greek mythology confronting his brother, the evil god of war, there'd be some grand dialogue between these two titans. Dracula, show him how it's done.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets!
Ares just runs straight at you as soon as you enter the room, and the only thing he says when you beat him is, "One day!" Just another example of this game's writing being complete ass. So you beat up Ares, you rescue Zeus, you save the land from whatever Ares was doing, and the game ends. Thank you, God. Hercules, the Legendary Journeys is awful! This isn't a game. This is a joke. It's an amateur developer's pathetic attempt at making a Zelda game that's as boring as it is cheap. There isn't a single thing that this game tries to do that doesn't fail. The vast majority of the game is filler, as you do absolutely nothing except run between villages talking to people. Over half of the game is just time killer to pad out the game's runtime. If you cut out the pointless running between pointless villages, talking to pointless people, trading for pointless items, the game would be half an hour long. You could beat a real game in the time you spend doing nothing in this game. The combat is lousy, dull to the point of being unbearable. There are only 2 enemies in the entire game with palette swaps to try and fool you into thinking otherwise. Even the bosses don't have any effort put into them. The Cyclops and the 3 Minotaurs are basically the same boss with more health each time. The Titan is a neat idea, but the fight is easily glitched to being nigh unwinnable. The Dragon has one basic attack pattern and no other tactics at all, and the final boss is just another basic enemy. You have no motivation to keep playing the game. You have no idea about anything regarding the villain or his plans, and the villain himself doesn't do anything to contribute to what can only laughably be called a story. You aren't even given an objective until halfway through the game. I've never played a game with a story this poorly told before. Everything about this game just screams out no effort. Every second reeks of not giving a shit. That or player 1 had no idea what they were doing and should never have been let 100 miles near a Nintendo 64. The only reason this game isn't remembered as one of the shittiest games on the Nintendo 64, let alone worst games of all time, is because it's a ripoff of Zelda, and gamers, the sheep that they are, love Zelda so much that anything that in any way vaguely resembles Zelda must also be great, because anything less would imply that Zelda is not the greatest thing in the history of the universe. The only legendary journey this game can take you on is to the local landfill when you throw it the hell away, but that's still too good for it! Incendiary.